Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now I like to think of myself as a bit of an early adopter for the Intel ARC graphics cards. I knew when I bought the A750 that things wouldn't be perfect, but I decided to stick with it because I knew that driver updates would come eventually. I just wasn't sure how frequently they would arrive, and it's nice to see that Intel, well, it seems like they're releasing a new driver almost every month. And what I like is that they've been really transparent about the performance, especially with older DX9 titles. For example, CSGO, this is one that performed really bad, first of all, but things have definitely improved thanks to the newest drivers. What I thought we'd do today then would be to play a little bit of CSGO using Intel's first drivers, the launch drivers for the A750, and then the latest drivers to see how things have changed. CSGO remains, of course, one of the most popular games according to the Steam hardware survey. So let's get into it, talk a little bit about the drivers first of all, and then get into a couple of games. Bear in mind I am terrible at CSGO, most of you will know that already, but this is more to look at the performance side of things than it is to look at my awful competitive performance. So on the Intel website, you're going to see WHQL and beta drivers. Now if you go under this WHQL section, this is where you're going to find the launch drivers, which end in .3490. As you can see here, launch driver for ARC A770 and A750. We're using the A750, the weaker of the two A7 series cards. Now if you want the absolute latest driver, the WHQL version, you can use this one, 4091, but if you go back to the beta section and click here, you will get a slightly newer driver version, which is 4125 at the time of this video, and that's the one we're going to be using today. So without further ado, let's get into CSGO, see how things have changed driver wise, and we're going to start off with the aforementioned .3490 driver to see how bad things were late last year. So as far as the game's settings go, I am actually using 1080p at the lowest. This will still give us a very good idea of comparative results because trust me, there is a significant difference, or at least there was last time I looked. So 1080p low, these are what I like to call competitive settings. I've heard that a lot of people do use these low settings because in CSGO it's nice to get as many frames as possible. You might even use a lower resolution, but we're going to be sticking to 1080p today as this is the native res of my aging monitor. So I apologise if you can hear some coil whine from the card in the background. That is one of the issues with these ARC cards, or at least it was. I'm not sure that it's as bad these days, but I almost didn't get him then. Got wiped out in the end, of course. Yeah, I'm not sure if that coil one is as bad these days. I don't seem to notice it as much as I used to. I do use the A750 almost on a daily basis now. I'm going to start the benchmark there. Shouldn't have done it because I got killed. But as you can see, that frame rate isn't too bad, but there are quite a lot of issues with those percentile figures. A lot of stutter here and there, and that can be detrimental to performance. You might have seen just there, I ran through here, saw an enemy, the game stuttered, and it took me by surprise a little bit. I'm terrible with a sniper, but that doesn't matter because I'm terrible with every weapon. Now I think this is enough to remain competitive to an extent, unless you're me, because I'm terrible. This isn't the sort of game I usually play. I mean, if you were to suddenly walk into my house, you'd find me playing Fallout New Vegas, which is one of my all-time favourites in the game that I spend hours on each week, to be honest. Yeah, the average really isn't that bad with these launch drivers, but it's those little stutters every so often that can really do some damage, not just to the smoothness of your game, but to your player's health, as you can see. Right, let's just play a little bit more of this game. The benchmark is still running, by the way, so I'll have the figures up on the screen at the same time so that you can see exactly how this game is performing. It's not ideal, it's not terrible, but it's not exactly perfect. Have I even got any kills? I mean, 5 kills and 17 deaths. That's about the usual for me, I've got to admit. Not brilliant by any means. Let's go up and through here. This is quite a demanding part of the map, yet so is the tunnel on the other side. We'll head back to it now. This is the other part I was talking about that can be quite intensive. As you walk out of here, see it sort of drops there. Oh yes, look at that, 6 kills and about 1 million deaths by now. I'm going to end the recording here then, and then we'll switch to the latest drivers and see what sort of difference we can expect these days in 2023 with the latest ARC driver at the time of this video. Apologies again for the awful gameplay. 12 kills, 19 deaths. Look at that. It could be worse. I could be Delta down the bottom there with 0 kills and 21 deaths, but I'm sure I've had worse days than that. Okay, so what we're going to do now then is install the latest version of the ARC drivers. I'm not going to use Intel ARC Control or Driver Support Assistant. You can of course use those if you want to. I find ARC Control really helpful. That's only getting better as well. As you can see, we've got 3490 currently installed, but we're about to install the latest beta version .4125. We'll execute a Kleenex installation as well. So join me again in a few minutes when we'll jump back into CSGO and see how things improve. Okay, so do you remember what I said about coil whine? Yeah, I must have made that up. It's not really any better, to be honest, when you're running with an unlimited frame rate like I am in CSGO. But what is better is the frame rate itself. I mean, we are seeing maybe double, hopefully. I'm going to start the benchmark now. The stutters are certainly reduced with this card. I'm not saying that there aren't any at all, but they are definitely better with this card. It's a much more fluent experience. As we go through this little tunnel area, you're seeing some really significant dips just now. They do seem to be reduced. If I can actually stay alive long enough to make it all the way through, you would have seen that. But yeah, another thing to remember with ARC cards, of course, is that you want a system that supports resizable bar, and you want that enabled. It's going to give you the best performance. I'm using the 12400F, which does offer that, so we are getting the most we can out of this ARC GPU. Now, utilization hasn't really improved because this is a more CPU intensive game. Now, I remember reading an interesting article a while ago when Intel brought some big improvements to their DX9 support, basically talking about how things had changed. That seemed a bit unfair just then, but yeah, and it's nice to see them being so transparent about it. They knew there were improvements to be made, and it's nice to see that they are working on that, and we are actually getting regular driver updates. You know, not just drivers every 6 months, but drivers. I am really doing badly here. Drivers really quite often, almost every month, it would seem. I just cannot play CSGO, honestly. I mean, what are we working with? 2 kills and 11 deaths. That is absolutely abominacious. If that's even a word, that's what it is. So, yeah. But, I mean, as you can hopefully see from the performance this time around, I'll throw up some comparative figures so you can see the difference between the latest driver performance and the launch day driver performance to give you a much better idea of what you can expect if you buy one of these in early 2023. And I'm sure DX9 performance is only going to get better, and therefore so will CSGO. Thank you very much for watching then. I'm going to end this before it gets too embarrassing. I mean, look at this, 5 kills, 12 deaths. Absolute disaster, if I do say so myself. I thought we could end it with a nice kill there, but it just wasn't going to happen, was it? Not my sort of game, but I still have fun playing it, would you believe it? Oh, yeah, almost. Thank you for watching then. I hope this has been helpful for any of you considering an ARC card in 2023. If it has, please leave a like down below. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy it so much. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see all of you in the next one.